Carolina Panthers. They got their franchise quarterback now. Okay. If you were watching or not, someone named Tony Jones Jr., we're not sure who that is. We believe it's a running back. He scored a couple of touchdowns. And rookie Blake Grupe. He's a groupie. Blake Grupe kicked a couple of field goals, and the New Orleans Saints beat the Panthers 20-17 in a game that was not that close Monday night there. So they improved to 2-0 for the first time in a decade. The New Orleans Saints are off to the 2-0 start. And Jones came in, Tony Jones Jr., replacing Jamal Williams, who was supposed to be the man, the myth, the legend in the first half. He ran for 34 yards on 12 carries. So anyway, get to the point here. The better story is in the losing locker room. Carolina was not supposed to be good this year, and they are off to the kind of start you expected. 0-2, sitting at the very bottom, looking up at the tuchus of everyone in the NFC South, losing to the Falcons in the opener, now going down to the Saints. So a couple of divisional games. Let us discuss the question. Are the Carolina Panthers right now having regrets about hiring Frank Reich as their head coach? So, yes, I'm nodding my head. Yes, they are having regrets. And if they're not having regrets, well, there needs to be some kind of internal investigation. I've got Hashlinger, Fast Lane, and Santa's Nice List. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a slice of pie, which is what the New Orleans Saints had. They had that king cake, not even pie, they had king cake. And maybe they found that little baby there in the king cake, but they celebrated that win. So to begin here, we'll combine all these things together. But number one, yes, if the football team in the Carolinas is not looking around the room saying, what have we done here? That is what's known as malfeasance. Carolina is playing Frank Reich's brand of football. You can't say they are not playing Frank Reich's brand of football. They are. His fingerprints are all over this squad. They have an offense that is barf bag worthy. Yeah, get a little doggy bag and fill it with barf. It was a 3-dog night for the Carolina Panthers in this game. They had miscues, penalties, and mental errors. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, all of them. And Frank Reich's coached long enough in the NFL where you have the book of Frank. And to be frank, the book of Frank is very dull. It lacks the razzmatazz. It does not have that. The team logo might be different. They've changed the team logo. The colors are different now. But Frank Reich, at his core, is still the same hashlinger serving up milk toast. It's like watching grass grow, watching the Carolina Panthers on offense here. It's just plain. You go to the ice cream shop, you just get vanilla bean. That's it. You get nothing else. No toppings. No little sprinkles on top, no syrup. It's just vanilla. That's all you get. How bad was it? Well, Carolina, if you saw the first game, Carolina, 239 yards of offense. They had 14 first downs, which in comparison to the Steelers looks pretty impressive. But 2 of those came via penalty gifted by the New Orleans football team. And then that late touchdown drive where Carolina la 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 la. They marched down the field. It was a 2-score game, but it was like they were treating it like practice. Not a real game. They were treating it like practice. I don't even give them credit for that because New Orleans was like, okay, if you want to throw these little short 4 or 5 yard passes, we'll let you do that. We'll even let you score a touchdown. We don't give a crap. Knock yourself out. All right, now, page 2 here. We must get to the Komodo dragon in the room. The number one overall pick, the prize of prizes. The Carolina football team traded up to get the right to draft anybody they wanted at quarterback with the number 1 pick. They gave the Chicago Bears a bag full of draft picks. They said, this is our time. This is our window. We need a franchise messiah. And so they scouted all the quarterbacks. They looked at all the different players that were available, and they chose the prodigy, the chosen one, the face of the franchise. And how's that working out for Bryce Young? Yeah, how do you grade Bryce Young after 2 games in his NFL career? So the MALLER report card, the only report card of record, the MALLER report card for Bryce Young, he gets an F. He gets the F. Wow. Looks completely overmatched. Am I wrong? Have you seen these games? It's fascinating to watch a guy that was so in control at Alabama. And now you look at him and you're like, whoa, what is this? I mean, what are we doing? It's wild. Completely overmatched here. The flop sweat. And the Saints, listen, the Saints have a good defense. They do. Let's not get carried away here. I don't think this is the reincarnation of the great Ravens defense of 2000 or the Chicago Bears, monsters of the Midway of the 1980s. I look at Trae Young, and he right now is speeding down the fast lane on Suck Avenue, and he's going as fast as he can. There's no speed limit. It's like the Autobahn. Now, we used to have a guy that called us from the Autobahn, but we scared him away. He doesn't call anymore. Yeah. But a massive failure here, and this is not some 4th-round draft pick out of Central Michigan. This is a guy that played in all the big games for Nick Saban at Alabama, and wow, he looks like a floundering fish out of water. You take him out of Tuscaloosa. And I was thinking about this. Watching Alabama play over the weekend against South Florida, which is not in South Florida, but watching that game, is there any way that we can go back in the hot tub time machine and Bryce Young can go back to Alabama and save Nick Saban, and the Carolina Panthers will be saved as well because they'll have somebody else playing quarterback who actually has a pulse? Man, there is just no spark. There's nothing. And you say, well, it's a couple of games. And it is a couple of games, and you have to go through the season, the progressions and all that. But 2 games into Bryce Young's career in the NFL, he's averaging 4.2 yards per pass. To put that in perspective, in the history of the NFL, 2 games in, the 4.2 yards per pass is the 3rd worst in the history of the sport. Well, he'll get better. There's no guarantee he gets better. You got to think he's going to get. I didn't think it would be this bad. I thought it would be some rough edges. I expected Carolina. You just get an average quarterback performance out of Bryce Young, you win that game. The Saints were plump for the taking. They were plump for the taking right there. Didn't get it done. Did not get it done. And so you look at this, and it's early, but it's kind of getting late early, as we've been saying, the theme of the early part of the season. It is something, it knocks you off your rocker. It does. I mean, the Panthers, they've lost 2 divisional games, and there is no sign of hope. You've got a coach that is boring. You've got a quarterback that looks like he can't play. That's the Carolina Panthers. I hope your tickets are refundable because, man, the degree of difficulty, horrible. All right, now, final point. So let's go to the winner's side. Winners. Now, the better story is in the losing locker room, but we will go to the winner's side. And now the New Orleans Saints are 2-0. Whee! 2-0, the New Orleans Saints. Are you impressed? Are you impressed with the New Orleans Saints? So let me combine a couple of letters together. Can I get on the Wheel of Fortune? Can I get an O and an N? And I'll put the N first. How about N plus O, and that gives me no? How about that? Yes, I have high standards. I do. You might not think I have high standards here doing the overnight show, but I do have high standards. I do. And the New Orleans Saints have been on Santa's nice list. That's what I will say about the New Orleans Saints at this point. That in week 1, that game was given to them because Ryan Tannehill was not prepared to play an NFL game. It wasn't tremendous defensive plays by the New Orleans secondary. It was incompetence, football incompetence by the Tennessee Titans and led by Ryan Tannehill that gave not 1, not 2, but 3 room service interceptions. to the Saints defense. And then in week 2, we just saw it on Monday night. Bryce Young looks like he needs a therapist. He can't play. He sucks right now. And so that's where we are. And then on the other side, the Saints are 2-0. Are you impressed with Derek Carr? No. Derek Carr is the same guy he was with the Raiders. It's like that old thing we said about the leopard, right? The leopard can't change its spots. And Derek Carr, as seen on TV, there's consistency with Derek Carr, that he'll have the occasional really good game. He reminds me of a poor man's Michael Vick. Michael Vick was like this when he played back in the day, where he'd be really, really good for 4 or 5 games. He'd be really, really bad for 5 or 6 games, and then the rest he'd be somewhere in the middle. And that's where Derek Carr is. Like, for a few games, Derek Carr will play really well. We haven't seen that yet as a New Orleans Saint. But he'll have real stinkers. He was dreadful in this game in the first half, although I would put this one in the mediocre category, not the – he can play much worse and will play much worse than this. So the NFC South, which is a dumpster division, you've got 3 teams that are off to 2-0 starts. Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay are all off to 2-0 starts.
Wow.
Does that mean we were wrong about the NFC South? No! No! Look at the teams these clubs have played. Atlanta played Carolina. Bad team. Played the Packers. Mediocre team. Won those 2 games. New Orleans. Tennessee gave them the game. Carolina. Check, check. The one that's the most impressive is Tampa Bay. They are the most impressive because they did beat the Vikings, although the Vikings, they have their mastery of suckage. And then they ended up coming back, Tampa Bay, and winning a game at home. The Bears is not that. The Viking win is the most impressive in the division.